Hi, I'm Lisa Singer. I am the Deputy Editorial Director of Media Post, and this is Brand Insider BTS, where I get to pull back the curtain on some of the most influential women marketers today. And with me is Lisa Mathison, and she is the head of brand activation at Hostess Brands. Hey, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you. We have the Lisa back in full gear here.
Yeah, in action together. Love it.
That was like at the CPG where that was just, you were my go-to person. You were definitely, you like everything I talked about, you had done at some point in your strategy with Hostess.
I know. I felt like I couldn't leave the room because I was, you were about to call my name. So I had.
Actually, you did try to leave the room, but I stopped you in the mid, just before you got out. Just before the so I appreciate that. I just need to take you along to every summit. So, we'll work on that.
You make a great duo.
Yeah, no, it was great. And thank you again for doing this. I mean, I love, the summits are so important. And obviously what you shared there is so valuable in terms of strategy for our CPG summit. But this is, for me, I love hearing how you got there, because everyone's path is a little bit different. And, even before I get into maybe where it all started, let's see where you are now, which you have been recently recognized by Brand Innovators as one of the top women to watch in marketing. So first of all, congratulations on that. That's awesome. And first of all, how do you feel about that? Because you're in a pretty elite group.
I mean, first of all, it's a lovely recognition. The Brand Innovators Group, I think, does an amazing job of really recognizing, work and people in and around, the advertising community. So I was very humbled to receive that recognition. It was, very nice, very surprising. But I think what it speaks to me is that it really means, that there are ways to stay curious and creative in the industry. This industry that we work in is always changing, always evolving. And so I consider myself a creative person. I love staying on top of, the latest trends, the latest technology, what's changing. And it was nice to see, to get that recognition and be acknowledged for some of that. So it was great.
Well-deserved, definitely. Like I said, you were right on target after your presentation, everything was what people were talking about and wanting to do. So well-deserved there. But also, I want to kind of go away from not necessarily work, but just the word innovation and, being innovative in life. Or what does that mean to you?
I mean, I think for me personally, it means, really just staying open to possibilities. I'm a person that's very curious naturally. I love learning new things. And so I think that crosses over into my career, but it also is something that's just part of my life. I kind of joke around, every time New Year's resolutions roll around, a lot of people are trying to quit things or, give things up. My list has always been, I want to learn something new. What am I going to learn this year? What am I going to add to my list? And so I personally just love learning new things. I love to travel, learn new skills. One of the things that I learned a lot of things during the pandemic. It was a great period to really buckle down and learn a lot of new skills. And one of my passion areas is interior design. And so just before the pandemic, just before the world shut down, I happened to be taking an upholstery class at a local upholstery shop in Chicago. And so I learned to upholster furniture. So I was upholstering, dining room chairs and little stools and things like that all through the pandemic. And it was a great skill. So so I just love learning new things. And I think that's really what, being innovative, staying creative, staying open to sort of new things and possibilities is really important to me. And I've carried that through in my life as well as into work.
Oh, well, so are you now driving around on the lookout for thrown out couches and stools so that you can refurbish them?
Yes, I am. I still think about a chair that was down the street in an alleyway. That was a beautiful, barrel-backed chair. It was probably mid-century modern, some 1960s kind of era. And I regret not going and saving that from the trash pile. It went away in like 2 days, so somebody else nabbed it before I could get to it. But yes, I'm not driving through alleyways looking at, rummaging through trash cans. I stop, I try to keep it all above board. But I do love going through antique shops, thrift stores. There's always some treasure that somebody's left behind. So I love that.
It's so funny. I mean, I lived in New York for a number of years, and anytime I put anything out there, it would be gone like that. And I mean, a lot of people, it's their side hustle. They actually, I can't remember the name of the company. I just saw them being featured on the Today Show, I think. And they literally used to just go and they like to refurbish, and then they turned it into, now it's business. So who's to say, you have an opportunity if anything should go wrong at Hostess.
I have a couple of skills to fall back on.
Won't worry about you. We know you're good. Well, I want to talk about even when, as I said, when you first started out, I love to hear the stories in terms of, what got you to here. And I know you went to University of Michigan. So, but what surprised me is I noticed you had a degree in psychology. So was that initially the plan, and then somehow it changed over to marketing, or was it just, whatever? I don't know. Like, what was the meaning or the thought behind that?
Well, it's funny, when I went to college, so both of my parents are trained chemists. Like, they have these amazing science brains. I did not get that DNA. I went into my first college level chemistry class and was terrified. I mean, I didn't know what language they were speaking. We had a really wacky professor. He would roll out this cart from the side and start doing all of these kind of test tube things, and reactions would be, would happen, and things were shooting over our heads in the room. And so it just wasn't for me. And so I kind of stumbled into psychology and found it was really interesting. I loved learning, how people think and behave, what motivates them, what are things that they are passionate about, what really kind of keeps them anchored in life, and how they deal with certain situations. And so I was headed down the psychology path, and I was really interested in child psychology. And so I was working sort of after hours in children's daycares. One of my internships was in a preschool. And so it was just fascinating to see sort of all of these really interesting behaviors and thoughts and learning responses kind of come to life, knowing that I had that kind of, psychology, education and knowledge I was carrying around. And then I found really what they called communication studies. So it wasn't a formal advertising program at the time. It was more about communication studies and the impact that advertising had on consumers and human beings. And I found that the two really played off of each other very well. They complemented each other very, very well. And so it was fascinating to me. And then in one of those classes, I happened to read the book by Paco Underhill called The Science of Shopping. And it's all about the psychology of consumerism. And, why milk is always in the back corner and opposite of the location of the front door of the store. They make you walk all the way around the store perimeter to get to the milk, because that's a staple item. And they want you to be influenced by all the different aisles, before you get there. And, obviously shop more, buy more. It's the same thing with jeans and denim jeans. They're always in the back, on the back wall or on the back table, because they want to move you through the store to really increase your purchase price and the amount of items that you're buying. And so it just really was fascinating to me. And that combination of psychology and consumerism came together very quickly. And that's when I knew I wanted to go into advertising.
Yeah, and it's fun. I mean, it's funny when you say that because, now being, I mean, in the industry, in marketing, and you get that, you see that. As soon as you walk in, you'll know, okay, they're doing it right or they're not doing it right. But if you think about the general consumer, they're not aware of that at all. So I think it's amazing. And I do agree that psychology and marketing, I mean, part of what you do is trying to figure out how to engage, how to, get consumers to want your product, or, for any advertiser, any marketer. So
it's all about the influence, right? That all of these marketing messages have on consumers' behavior, and the power that those messages have on consumers' behavior. And so it's really interesting to me, and that's why I love advertising, is that, there are so many ways that you can message a consumer today. And, some of it is just white noise to a consumer, and some of it is, oh, yeah, I do need that item. Like, I'm going to go, that wasn't on my list. I'm going to go, get that. And we've all had the Target experience where we go in for one thing and you come out with $150 worth of stuff, right? So we're all guilty of falling for all the marketing messages, for sure.
No, that is so true. And I'm curious, even now you see the messages changing so much, like even, from what they were maybe before COVID, and just everything that's going on now, not just about COVID, and now inflation, and just, social consciousness in terms of what's happening, sustainability. And obviously you need to adapt messaging to reach, now consumers are maybe more concerned about certain things, but also how much do you need to adapt as a brand? Like, what's the responsibility, in the sense that, things are changing? Do you change with it? And I'm not saying you put your head in the sand, but at the same point, it's also, I know, important to stay authentic to who you are. So where's the balancing there?
Yeah, it's a great question, especially in a time where, there's a lot of important things happening in our culture today, right? So I think the role and responsibility that brands have, one, first and foremost, is to really understand their consumers, to really understand their motivations, what makes them tick, why they're buying you, why they're buying within your category. So, I think that familiarity is so critical. Two, I think, there is, it is important for brands to be informed and to stay in touch with what is happening in the culture, because those elements are affecting, their buyers. And so, as a brand, we've all come across, with one or two brands that just appear tone deaf to the environment in which they're living within, and their consumers are living within. So I think it's really important for brands to stay in tune, to stay current, and to stay, really relevant for their consumers. One of the things that Hostess Brands has done recently is we've just signed a CFBAI initiative, the Children's Food and Beverage Advertising Initiative. We signed that back in the spring. We are a sweet snack product, and we're proud of that. That's who we are, but we can't dress it up any differently. Our products are delicious, and they're meant to be enjoyed, and they're meant to be a sweet, indulgent snack. So that's who we are. But we also, as a company, have a responsibility to make sure that our messages get to the right people. And that is that, we don't want to advertise and don't intend to advertise to children under the age of 13, which is what the CFBAI, initiative is all about. And so, they are protecting, young children from being affected or impacted by advertising directly from companies and food brands that, are may affect them in various ways. And so we want to make sure that all of our marketing and advertising really is focused on parents and families, and it's the parents' decision of what products come into the household or not. And so we think that they are doing an amazing job and doing really important work, and we're proud to join our fellow CPG partners in that space and holding our commitment to advertising responsibly.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's true. Like, not every we're not going to have a world of products, which I'm sure some would love, that is going to always be healthy or going to be not, just the good, value kind of. And I'm saying this wrong because Hostess is value. Believe me, I grew up on it, so I definitely think there's a lot of value there. But I'm just saying, it's you can't change who you are as a brand, but you can do it in a way that is responsible and be able to not, cater to children, because, bombarding them with everything, then they have to bug their parents for whatever. So I think taking on initiative is a really authentic way for you guys to get involved and for, you to really stand up, because there's a responsibility maybe as a brand to be that voice for people who can't, don't have the pedestal, don't have that platform.
Right, and we want to make sure we're advertising, our products to parents and adults who are able to really weigh all of those, pros and cons for their family. And so it's really important for us to stay focused on adults in our marketing and advertising. And then it's also important for us, and I know many other brands, to stay socially and environmentally responsible. And so that is a focus of our company too. And we're very proud to make sure that, we're making a thoughtful impact on our culture and on our planet.
Definitely makes sense. And getting back to what I said as far as growing up on Hostess, definitely was my favorite was the snowballs, the pink ones, the coconut, and I loved them. So I have to ask you, it's an iconic brand. I think all of us have childhood memories of it and still continue to. What's yours?
Snowballs is a good one. I love the Hostess donuts. I'm a white powdered donut girl. They're very soft. They're very yummy. I think I'm single-handedly keeping them out of stock at my local convenience store. They're a good snack, kind of on the go. So, and whenever I need sort of a good indulgent snack, I run to the convenience store and get them. Now, did you eat your snowballs in a certain way? Are you like straight in chomp, or do you peel them apart in any way?
No, I'm very take the pink off, then break the chocolate, and then sort of get the cream, and then I'm so ridiculous in terms of how I still am like that in general to eat. Like, I'm very specific. I have to save that last, like, whatever the best tasty bite is, I put that to the side. So I just always want, like, I need to see probably someone to find out about that. But
that's
it was definitely picking out, I love to take pieces at a time. I think I just don't like it all. It's all good at one, like maybe there's one bite there, but I love the taste of everything separate. So
it's so funny because I was talking, we've heard a lot in our consumer research and just anecdotally, but it was funny. I was talking with some friends the other day that there was always that family that had like the good snack drawer. And we hear that a lot, that there's like the snack drawer or the snack cabinet, and it's where all the good snacks are stashed. And inevitably a Hostess is in that drawer. So we love it.
Now, my parents definitely, we had snack drawers. We can only eat in certain times or whatever, but we always had a snack drawer or something, or sometimes a shelf so we couldn't reach it. But
snack cabinet, and then we had like little snack baskets. So my mom was very particular that you could only eat what would fit in the basket. so you had to be very, very, very thoughtful about the size of your snacks.
Well, is it hard? When you go into Hostess, are you back in the office, one, and two, when you are there in the break room or wherever, are there baskets of Hostess snacks?
There are. Yes, we are back in the office. We've adopted, since the pandemic, a flex policy. So we are, flexing both work from home and work in the office. And I have to say, it's really nice to be back in the office to, get to have that human interaction again, and all of those, just off the cuff, chit chats and meetings sometimes. And so it's really nice to be back in the office. But it's also really nice to have, that time from home as well. So I think, just going back to human behaviors, like behaviors just sort of changed, and we all adapted to sort of this new world and environment. And so it's nice to have the best of both worlds, if you will. Yes, there are snacks in our office. It can be
by that part of the question.
it can be a dangerous place, but when that afternoon snack time rolls around, it's very convenient. So it's great.
You definitely, I would think, need to have what's the word when you don't do something, willpower or whatever.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of self-control that needs to be.
I like drinking my milk because I have to have my chocolate with milk. I cannot have chocolate without my milk. So things. So
Yeah.
candy, on the other hand, that goes with wine. So another topic. But well, I want to ask you because we sort of touched on a little bit when we were talking about when you were starting in school and psychology and how it sort of crossed over to then become about marketing.
Mm-hmm.
But you also, I know you've worked both on agency, agency and brand side. So talk about those kind of changes. And was there a time when, maybe something happened that seemed like a horrible thing, like it was maybe the worst thing that could have happened, but it really turned into a positive mood, and when you look back, and when you look back, you can see that that was definitely for the best.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably so many moments. Just to touch on the first part of your question, I feel very fortunate with my career. I've had a really wonderful journey, and like you said, I've actually touched all sides of the business. So I worked on the agency side, I worked on the publisher side, I've worked on the client side, and so I actually started my career, oddly enough, in public relations, and it was, looking back on it, it was a perfect place to start. I was kind of trying to break into the advertising agency world. They had an opening. It was a great opportunity. I worked on the CDC account, and really kind of learned the ropes of media, press. You got to work with great talent, and so it really exposed me to, I think, a wonderful side of the business. And then from there, I moved into digital media planning and buying. And at the time, it was very early in the digital media world. So I got super lucky. I got to work under the tutelage of Rashad Tabakawala, who led, at the time, it was an agency called Starcom IP, part of the Starcom family. And now it's been fully integrated, fully absorbed into, Starcom worldwide. And it was just an amazing experience, and I got to learn, really the foundations of digital advertising, and that has served me so well. Like I kind of got lucky that I transferred into that department through no doing of my own. Really, I just sort of happened to luck my way into it, and it's the foundation and the cornerstone of my career. And so I really consider myself lucky that I had that and took that path. And then I got to explore all sides of the business. And I think what that's done for me is it's really given me, language tools. I'm able to speak the language of the agencies, of the publishers, and the client. And so being on the client side now, and I have been for the last 10 years, it's in the roles that I've served, it's really served me well. It's been so beneficial because I understand all sides of that business or those businesses, and can really pull it together for the business that I lead. So I feel very fortunate that I have all that wonderful experience, and it just continues to build and build and build. So
I'm sure that it makes it easier, for someone who, on the agency side or, in the PR side, working with you, because you get them, what they need. It's not like if you haven't actually done it. So I want to kind of bring it back a little bit in the sense that, so someone just starting out, and is it sometimes maybe you, as you said, you started in a situation where you could kind of get your hands on a lot of things because it was newer, it was smaller, it was whatever it may have been. Is it smarter to maybe do that rather than, because I think when people graduate, they think, oh, I want to now work for the biggest agency or the biggest company, I want to get into Hostess brands. And when you maybe aren't exposed to so many, opportunities and so many, you might be, in a lower position, and it might be more difficult to learn those things. So how would you, someone looking for advice, someone just graduating, wanting to be you, what would you sort of recommend to them?
So my biggest piece of advice is, really find things that you can relate to. If you want to get into advertising, try to find an account or a piece of business that you can relate to. So I found, when I was on the agency side, at the time, you were really at the mercy of rotations, and you could, work on a piece of business that, was more finance driven. You could move to QSR, or you could be, move into CPG. I found pretty quickly for me that I did my best work when I could really relate to, the company or the product that I was working on. And so I really harnessed that pretty quickly and really communicated my interests to the powers that be, and really started to drive, where and what business I was rotated onto. And it's really served me throughout my career, and the decisions that I've made of, where do I want to take what role do I want to take next? What new thing do I want to learn? What piece of business is really interesting to me? And so I found very early on that CPG was so fun and engaging and fast moving. But I also loved the iconic nature of CPG. And, I worked on the Kellogg's business, and how exciting it was to really learn about Tony the Tiger and, all of those wonderful icons of, the Kellogg's portfolio. I worked in the P&G business. I mean, what an education that was. Like, I deliberately asked to be moved to some of those businesses so I could really scoop up that learning, and learn from the best. And certainly all of those experiences have served me well. So I would just say to students that are coming out of college or even grad school who are looking to crack into advertising, it's okay to take that first job where you're just going to learn, and that's okay. Just be open to learning and stay curious and try to scoop up as much knowledge as you can, because it's absolutely going to lead you to the next step and the next step and the next step.
What I think is really important, what you said, aside from choosing what you care about or what's relevant to you, but also speak up. Like you knew where you were finding that you were more interested in, and the worst they can do is say no. But it's like the fact that you spoke up and were able to then move into these pathways, or get work into these industries with CPG. It's just very, that's telling. Because
it's a win-win for everybody. You get really engaged talent on your business, and then for the talent, you get great experience, and you get to have fun at your job. And we spend so much time in our jobs, and it's important that you have fun, that you enjoy it. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I completely agree. And so I know, as you said, you've been very fortunate, and you've sort of been able to maneuver your career in a maybe, I don't want to say easy way, because it all takes hard work, but it's been more smooth than some people have maybe had more challenges. But I'm curious, was there a wall that you ever hit? Something where it was not necessarily, one of those, I'm not saying like the thing that was horrible that happened that turned into a good thing. I'm saying a wall or something, a barrier that maybe prevented you or seemed to prevent you from doing something. And how did you overcome that, if there was that?
Yeah, I mean, there's challenges in life, period, and I think you're always gonna run up against some sort of roadblock or detour or what have you. And I think the most important thing is to not get discouraged by some of those roadblocks. Is to remember to see them as truly that, like a detour. It's moving you in maybe a different direction. And I think as I think back or look back on my career, I would say probably the biggest challenge I've experienced, I think we've all, when you've been in this space for a long time, is, being part of a company or a team maybe where you just don't feel like it's a fit, for either one. And, that can be really hard to see, I think, for some in the moment. And it's really important to realize that, what, it may not be a great fit, or you may not be, getting as much value out of it as you want to. And I think it's in those moments where it's okay to say, like, yeah, okay, time to move on, time to find something else that really gives you joy and gives you meaningfulness, right, to your career. Again, we spend a lot of time at work, and it's important that I think you have a sense of peace and happiness in your job. And so, I've certainly experienced that at a point in time where you just don't feel like it's a great fit. And so you've got to make that tough decision to find something that's a better fit for you, where you can really thrive and be happy and know that you can give as much as you get out of it.
It's basically give yourself permission to pivot. Just in our conversation, you did not in chemistry, then psychology, and then, in this instance, and as you said, I'm sure there's been many times throughout life, but it's just like, I think we can't feel like once we set our path, that's the way. It doesn't necessarily go straight. And for everyone I speak with, it never has, pretty much.
I agree. I love that phrase of give yourself permission to pivot. I think that's really well said. Yeah, I agree.
Should I coin it and make t-shirts?
Trademark it. We've got to document it.
I was going to say, hey, I wrote this already before. I probably read it somewhere. Anyway, so all right, getting back. We've talked about your donut obsession, but any other guilty pleasures?
Oh my gosh. Let's see. I would say probably I'm a big 80s music fan. If there's any kind of like 80s music channel, Pandora or Sirius, whatever it might be, you can find me there. It's good. I love seeing some of these 80s bands coming out back on the road, going to doing their concerts. So yeah, I'm easy to spot in those concerts. I'm a super fan, rocking along. So love 80s music.
Our Search and Performance Summit in Deer Valley, we had a 80s band, and it was awesome. It was just like everyone was dancing. It was so fun. It was like, I wish you would, if we had known. I wish you would.
I know. Next time, let me know. I'm happy to DJ.
I will find out next time if we're having an 80s band, and I will be sure to let you know ahead of time.
Yeah, there's just something about the 80s. I love it. It was a kind of a carefree time. So it's a good vibe.
It gets everyone dancing. I've been to places where all ages, and they start playing 80s, whether it's a DJ or there's a band, and everyone gets out on the floor. It's just, I think it's that infectious beat or whatever it may be.
I think you're right. It's absolutely so fun. Lots of good bands from the 80s for sure.
Yeah. Well, Lisa, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate you doing this, and it's been such a pleasure.
Thank you. This was great. So fun to talk to you.
Yep. Well, and we will continue talking hopefully soon at another event. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. And as I say always, if you have someone, a woman marketer that you know and you want to, or maybe you don't know, but you want to hear more about, feel free to let me know who, and I will do my best to get her. So thank you for watching. And once again, Lisa, thank you so much.
Thank you.